How did a powerless community hiding from invaders in a swamp become the masters of the sea? How did a city with no land, no walls, and almost no resources rise to dominate global trade, influence kings, spark wars, command crusades, and build an empire across the Mediterranean, all from a cluster of wooden islands? This is the impossible rise of Venice, the seaborne empire that ruled the waves, and the hidden story of how it all came crashing down. Venice is one of history's greatest paradoxes. Built entirely on water, surrounded by marshes, vulnerable to every possible threat, yet it became one of the richest, most stable, and most influential powers the world has ever seen. For over 1,000 years, the Venetian Republic shaped trade, warfare, exploration, finance, and diplomacy. Its navy ruled the seas, its merchants controlled the Silk Road, its spies infiltrated empires. Its economy invented modern capitalism. This is the full story of how Venice rose from the mud and how, in the end, it was washed away by the tides of history. Our story begins during the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Barbarian invasions swept across Italy. Cities burned, kingdoms collapsed, and chaos spread like wildfire. Desperate Romans fled into the marshy lagoons along the Adriatic coast, seeking safety where armies on horseback could not march. Out here, there were no roads, no fertile farmland, and no fortifications. There was only water, mud, and reeds, but in this unlikely refuge, a new society took shape, resourceful, independent, and fiercely determined to survive. What started as a desperate escape slowly transformed into a thriving settlement, a city born not of stone, but of necessity. While other cities defended themselves with massive walls, Venice built its defenses on the waves. The early Venetians mastered their environment. They drove millions of wooden poles deep into the lagoon's muddy floor, creating stable foundations for their buildings and carving out canals that became their streets. Soon, the sea wasn't just protection, it was opportunity. Venice discovered its greatest advantage: its location. It sat perfectly positioned between the markets of Europe and the riches of the East. Every merchant ship sailing from Byzantium, Egypt, and the Islamic world had to pass through its waters. Venice didn't just survive in the swamp, it began to prosper because of it. By the 10th century, Venice had transformed from a humble fishing village into a commercial powerhouse. Its merchants traded everything: silk from China, spices from India, sugar from Egypt, fine glass from its own workshops, and gold from every corner of the known world. Its famous shipyards, the Arsenale, were an industrial marvel, capable of building a fully equipped war galley in a single day faster than any other kingdom on earth. To protect this wealth, Venetian trade convoys, known as mood, traveled with military escorts, ensuring their goods arrived safely. As Venice grew richer, it grew bolder. It negotiated treaties with emperors and sultans, securing exclusive trading rights across the Mediterranean and quietly building an empire of ports and outposts without ever needing to conquer vast territories on land. Money became Venice's greatest weapon, and soon it would use that weapon to steer the very course of history. When the Crusades began, Venice saw an opportunity not in religion, but in business. It supplied the Crusaders with ships, weapons, and transport to the Holy Land, all for a hefty price. The most infamous moment came during the Fourth Crusade. When the Crusaders found themselves unable to pay their enormous debts, the cunning Venetian Doge, Enrico Dandolo, offered them a deal. He diverted the entire Crusader army away from the Holy Land and pointed them toward Venice's greatest rival, the Christian city of Constantinople. What followed was one of history's greatest betrayals. The Crusaders, under Venice's influence, sacked the magnificent capital of the Byzantine Empire in 1204. Venice walked away with unimaginable wealth, countless priceless relics, and key territories across the Aegean Sea. This was Venice at its peak, a true maritime empire stretching from the canals of northern Italy all the way to Cyprus. By the 14th and 15th centuries, Venice was the undisputed envy of Europe. Its navy dominated the Mediterranean Sea. Its merchants controlled the incredibly lucrative spice trade. Its government, led by the elected Doge and the powerful Grand Council, was remarkably stable, balanced, and resistant to the corruption and turmoil that plagued other European states. Venice was a hub of innovation, funding explorers, mapping new routes, and becoming the banking center of the entire region. No empire seemed safer, no empire seemed richer, no empire seemed smarter. It was a city-state that had perfected the art of turning water into gold. But while Venice looked inward, confident in its power, new forces were rising on the horizon, and the world was about to change forever. Venice didn't fall in one dramatic moment. Instead, it was slowly worn down by the shifting tides of history. First, Portuguese explorers, led by Vasco da Gama, found a direct sea route to India around Africa. Suddenly, the spice trade no longer needed to flow through Venetian ships and markets. Its main source of wealth was cut off at the knees. At the same time, the mighty Ottoman Empire was expanding, conquering Venice's overseas territories one by one and forcing the Republic into long, costly wars it could no longer afford. As the world entered a new age of exploration, naval powers like Spain, France, and England built massive ocean-going fleets, dominating the Atlantic and the trade routes Venice once ruled. The final blow came in 1797. After more than 1,000 years of fiercely guarded independence, Venice surrendered to the armies of Napoleon Bonaparte. The sea-borne empire was gone, but the Republic of Venice fell. Its legacy is unsinkable. Modern banking, international diplomacy, advanced shipbuilding, and the very idea of a global trade network were all pioneered and perfected by the Venetians. Even the model of a stable republic, with its complex system of checks and balances, was influenced by this incredible city. It's a story of a people who turned a desolate swamp into the queen of the seas, a legacy that still echoes in every canal and palace today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into history, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.